Ahoy, ladies and gentlemen, it is your old friend Josh Thomas from the BitBlock here. Welcome to my video review for Spongebob Squarepants, The Cosmic Shake. This is, of course, a brand new Spongebob Squarepants video game, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. It's a review. That's the concept of a review. That's what we're going to do. So as usual with reviews, I do have my notes, and I'm going to confront my notes, and we'll go over this, so let's get into it. So first of all, in case you don't know, for some reason, SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake is a brand new 3D platforming adventure game. It really does feel a lot like one of those classic kinds of games that we would get back in the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube era, which is pretty fun because we don't get a lot of those these days, but they're sort of starting to make a comeback, and I'm very happy about that. So, let's start off by talking about the gameplay, shall we? So the concept of this game is that SpongeBob's world, the Bikini Bottom, has been, well, there's been some havoc wreaked upon it because there was this mysterious new character called Madame Cassandra, and she's like a mermaid, and she comes in, and then everything goes crazy, and all the characters and locations and stuff get sucked into this weird cosmic void, and it's up to SpongeBob and Patrick to make things right again. So SpongeBob, of course, has a really fun move set. So you can, obviously you can jump, but then you can also double jump, which will help you get to higher up locations and things. SpongeBob also has a spin attack, which comes in handy taking out enemies or activating switches. You can also perform a ground pound move. Really nice, look at that. There's also like a double ground pound where you'll kind of cause a bigger shockwave around SpongeBob as he smashes down. You have a pizza glider, which is very handy. You're going to be using that a whole lot. SpongeBob can perform a cartwheel dodge, so if enemies are attacking you, you can dodge out of the way, and that's obviously also very helpful. You have a bubble wand, where SpongeBob throws a bubble at an enemy, and then it kind of encapsulates them in the bubble, and you can deal with them later. Like if they're throwing something at you, it's good to use that. There is a karate kick, although in order to do the karate kick, you have to be near something that you can kick, like an enemy. You'll see the little icon above things. You can also kick like balloons, and that'll help you traverse an area more effectively. And then finally, there's also a grapple move that you can perform. You will see these fish hooks hanging from the sky, and SpongeBob, well, as you can see, you can kind of swing from them in like a grapple-like fashion. So that's a lot of stuff. SpongeBob comes equipped with a lot of fun things that he can do. I have to say, I do think the control in this game feels pretty good. It has that thing going for it where a lot of Mario games have this, like the 3D ones, where you just kind of like messing with the controls. I find myself just messing around with SpongeBob, doing the ground pound or gliding or doing the little, the cartwheel dodge and stuff. Basically what I'm saying is that the controls feel good, and that's a good thing for a 3D adventure game. You definitely want that to be the case, and there's a lot of stuff to mess around with there, so yeah. As far as the gameplay goes, I think this game it's not really reinventing the wheel. There's not tons of moments where I was like, wow, this is really clever. It's sort of like, it's basic fun, but it's still enjoyable. It's basic enjoyable stuff. So some of the things, for example, in the western area, one of the things you do is you run around trying to find cacti, and you drain the cactus of its juice, and you have to do that so many times. You have to find like 8 of the cactus plants, drain them of their juice. There's also things in the western area like racing on seahorses, which is, obviously that's really fun to do. In the Halloween rock bottom level, there is trick-or-treating, where you're running around and finding houses and then like knocking on the door with your spin attack, and then you get candy from them. So I mean, it's trick-or-treating. If you know me, you know that obviously I like the fact this game has some little trick-or-treating going on. There's also stuff like in the prehistoric area, you're on top of a big boulder and you're rolling on it to get across lava. So that's obviously, kind of fun. There's a lot of platforming in this game and a lot of exploration. which is what you would want from a 3D adventure game. But like I said, you know, fun stuff. It's sort of basic fun. It's not to where it's not, you know, it's not like this isn't clever at all, but it does feel like it's the kind of stuff that we've seen in 3D adventure games before. Not reinventing the wheel, but it is a pretty solid collection of things to do in the gameplay. So one of the things that's weird about this game is that Patrick has been transformed into a balloon. And he sort of follows you around through the entire adventure, but he doesn't really do anything. He's just kind of there. He's almost like Navi to Link in a Legend of Zelda game. And I kind of feel like Patrick's a little pointless. I wish they did more with Patrick. I think Patrick would have been cool if he was a part of SpongeBob's moveset. It's like they clearly wanted to do like a buddy comedy kind of thing, and there's a lot of, you know, interactions between Patrick and SpongeBob in the game. But I think gameplay-wise, probably would have been smarter for Patrick to do more than he does. You know, he'll just kind of float around and then hover by objects that are, like, of interest to you. Like, if you're supposed to go over here, Patrick will go over there and then, like, kind of point down and be like, hey, go over here, or talk to this character, that kind of stuff. Patrick can also bring you health if you're down to, like, one piece of health. By the way, your health in this game is determined by underwear. Frankly, that's the way every video game should determine health as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, he can bring you a pair of underwear as health if you're almost dead. Doesn't really do a lot, though. I think it would have been cool if Patrick was part of SpongeBob's moveset. So, like, for example, you can do a ground pound, but what if, like, the ground pound was just you, like, jumping on Patrick and then, like, ground pounding because he's a balloon, like, you know, smashing him. Or your glider, you know, grabbing Patrick's legs and, like, using him as a glider. He kind of inflates and you use him as the glider. I think that would have been a little more clever. Patrick is, you know, I feel like he's underutilized in the game. Oh, one of the things I definitely want to talk about is this game has an overworld, which naturally the overworld is Bikini Bottom. I like that. I think every 3D adventure game needs an overworld, you know, sort of a central hub location, and then you branch off into the levels from the hub. It's not a massive overworld, but it's big enough to where it's fun to explore. And of course, as you progress through the game, the Krusty Krab comes back, and, you know, the Chum Bucket and Patrick's Rock and Squidward's house, you know, the head and all that. All those locations come back into the overworld as you bring them back by completing levels. So the overworld, I guess what I'm trying to say is it kind of expands and gets new things, and there's secrets to find. So I really love the overworld. You know, I gotta say, 3D Mario games have not really had overworlds for a very long time, and like Mario Odyssey, it's a 2D screen of a map. That sucks. So I like the overworld in this game. Pretty cool. Nothing too amazing, but it's good enough. So in this game, one of the things that you do a lot is you collect jelly, little orbs of jelly, and that's kind of how you progress through the game. You need to get more jelly to unlock the next area. There's a lot of different enemy types in this game. Once you defeat them, you'll get jelly. I really like the enemies. They're these kind of like weird little goopy sea creature monsters. And of course, there's different varieties. You kind of got the basic ones. And then you got some that will shoot goop at you. They got like a goop tank in their mouth and they shoot the goop at you. Those guys are kind of fun. There's some that you like, they box you and you have to hit them to break them apart, and then they're in, you know, like two of them coming at you, so you kind of have to, you know, take them out in a weird way. There's this weird, like, sand slug worm and all this stuff. Basically, there's a lot of fun enemies, and I do like their design quite a bit. There's this weird, like, just garbage pile of goop guy. There's a big muscly dude that has a bathtub for some reason. So I do like all the new little goopy sea creature monsters there. And just like in SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, there are a whole bunch of these little tiki heads all over the place in the levels, in the overworld. And of course, when you go up to those and you smash them, they will give you jelly. It's really weird because I can't explain it. It's just one of these things. It's so mindlessly satisfying to smash these tiki heads. It is by no means clever or inventive gameplay, but I just think smashing the tiki heads and getting jelly, it's this weird thing where I'm just addicted to it. It's I don't know. It's mindlessly satisfying, as I said. Another thing I want to point out is this game is genuinely funny, which I guess you would kind of expect from a SpongeBob SquarePants game. But there were multiple moments while playing this where I actually kind of chuckled. It got a little giggle out of me. So yeah, you would expect this from a SpongeBob game, I guess, but it is authentically funny to the show.
Giant snail, huh? Well, I got a potion for giant scallops, but that should work. Probably. Just bring me the ingredients on this list.
Can you make a potion that turns me back to normal, too?
Ooh, something tells me you were never normal to begin with, kid.
You are a good judge of character.
And then one final thing that I want to point out as far as gameplay goes is I was surprised to see how large the levels are in this game. I would honestly say, to compare these to like Super Mario Odyssey, these levels are seriously like 3 to 4 times larger than the kingdoms are in Odyssey. It's pretty sizable levels, a lot of stuff to see and do, a lot of secret areas, a lot of exploration. Yeah, these are pretty lengthy levels, and there is a lot to them. I mean, you can see here, I'm showing you, you can look off in the distance. There's just so many areas that you can explore in each one. I am definitely pretty impressed with the size of the levels, and they are quite fun to platform and explore in. So yeah, very chunky sized levels going on here. Okay, let's move on to talking a little bit about the visuals in this game. One of the things that definitely stood out to me is the animation on characters is quite good. SpongeBob himself has a lot of like squash and stretch animation. You probably saw that as I've been showing you some footage. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the animation. These characters do not seem stiff or robotic. They very much spent some time making sure these characters animate like they would in the show. So yeah, pretty good animation going on here. I also think overall the visuals are pretty clean, and it does a great job of representing the show. And so yeah, it's maybe not the most visually spectacular game, but for like a licensed character video game, I do think this is a pretty nice looking game overall. I will say, weirdly enough, there's one level that's like a medieval level. I don't know why, but that level stood out to me as not being as visually polished as most of the others. It doesn't look hideous, but it doesn't look as nice as a lot of the other levels in the game. I don't know what that's about, but something that I noticed. This is something that needs to be talked about, though. I haven't said too many things negative about the game. This is one of the negatives. On Nintendo Switch, which is the game that I'm reviewing, the version I'm reviewing, this game is not running too well, unfortunately. There's just kind of consistent frame rate issues. And there are moments where this game will literally freeze up for like a second or two to load in a chunk of an area or something, like, as you're moving through a level. Not ideal, guys, not ideal. It never was so bad that I was like, oh my god, I can't play this game. But it is noticeable. It's noticeable. And if like I was playing a Nintendo game that was running like this, I would be outraged, because I would expect better of Nintendo. But yeah, developer, you gotta do something. You gotta get a patch out for the Switch version, and maybe by the time you're watching this, they already released a patch. I don't know, but I would be negligent if I didn't mention there are frame rate issues in the Switch version of this game, and I hope they do something to get the game running a little more smoothly. Again, it never made me not want to play the game, but it's noticeable. If you're going into the Switch version, just know that there are some performance issues that are not present in the PlayStation and the Xbox and the Steam versions of the game. So yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer that we can't get this running a little more smoothly. I think it tries to run at 30 frames a second, but I would say half the time it doesn't really meet that frame rate. So yeah, kind of a bummer. Another thing I would point out is there are a lot of cutscenes in this game, and that's a good thing because you get a lot of, fun action with the characters. But sometimes the cutscenes feel like they're like a little hollow, like they're sort of awkward or missing something. And I think what they're missing is music, like little music cues or something, or sound effects tend to be missing from some of the cutscenes. They come off a little undercooked or awkward at times, and I do think it is an audio-related problem, so I probably should have mentioned that in the audio section of the review, but nevertheless, the cutscenes, I appreciate them. A few of them come off a little bit like, a little awkward. There are a whole bunch of visual Easter eggs in this game, though. I need to mention that. If you are a fan of the SpongeBob Squarepants boy, you are going to see a lot of references. I mean, sometimes it's minimal references that you'd have to be like a super fan to notice. A lot of references to like specific episodes, specific background characters, specific costumes or objects, jokes and stuff like that. So if you want your SpongeBob Easter eggs, I think you're going to get your fill with the Cosmic Shake. Lots of love put in. You can definitely tell that the developer really cares and loves SpongeBob and wanted to put little Easter eggs for the super fans. And then finally, I do want to mention something that stood out to me that I liked. In levels where there's kind of like a darker setting, like the Halloween Rock Bottom level, some pretty good lighting, like dark lighting. Wherever there's like darkness, there's some nice lighting effects going on in this game. So that is something I definitely took note of and appreciated and thought it was kind of, you know, eye candy and looked pretty good. So just wanted to mention that real quick. So, moving on to audio. Let's talk about the audio portion of this game. There is, holy smokeroonies, there is a lot of audio in this game, like a lot of dialogue from the characters, which is a good thing. You know, a lot of the times with these licensed games, the publisher doesn't want to spend the money to hire a lot of the voice acting, you know, the voice actors. This game has all of the voice actors, Tom Kenny, all of them, they are here, every character, even the background characters are here as well and authentically voiced. So, you know, like Mrs. Puff is there and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciated that. And so not only do you get the real voice actors, there is like, I'm not even exaggerating, I think there's probably a movie. There is so much dialogue, it's like the size of a movie, if not more. There's a lot of lines in this game, and so I really appreciated that. I liked it. And if you, for some reason, don't want to listen to a lot of dialogue, you can always skip it, like skip past it. But I really like that. I think that's a definite high point of the game, that they bothered to spend the money to do that. So, yeah, I like that. And like I said earlier, it's pretty funny, a lot of the voice acting. The music is okay. Nothing is really too fantastic. A lot of the original tracks, they're just okay, serviceable. I like the overworld music. That's not bad. It kind of has that Hawaiian, Polynesian sound that you'd expect from SpongeBob SquarePants. I like the prehistoric music. The level in the prehistoric, the music in the prehistoric level, I thought that was kind of nice. Not bad. The Halloween Rock Bottom music is pretty authentic, has a spooky Halloween vibe, like that too. But for the most part, music's just sort of okay, serviceable, nothing's really bad, but not a lot of it stood out to me. They do use a lot of the music from the TV show as well for like certain things. I shouldn't say a lot, but they use music that's actually taken from the TV show, which is good. I like that. So yeah. I love the voice acting, really great to see that here, and the music is just kind of serviceable. It's okay with like maybe a few tracks standing out, but yeah. So that's the audio. Let's talk about the replay value of this game. I think replay value is always something that's very important when playing a video game like this. So there are 7 worlds to explore. Just to give you a few examples, like for example, I've talked about the prehistoric area. That's fun. There is a western area, which we've seen a bit of. Halloween Rock Bottom. I like that a lot. I'm a fan of Halloween, as you know. There's also like a tropical pirate lagoon. So yeah, 7 worlds in total, and as I mentioned earlier, each world, each level does seem pretty lengthy. There is a lot to see in them. You can also unlock fun costumes for SpongeBob. There are 35 of them in total, and the way the unlock system works is you find golden coins as you're playing the game, and you have to like collect 10 golden coins, and that unlocks a tier of costumes. Then you have to find 12 of them, and that'll unlock a tier. So there's a whole bunch of gold coins you're gonna have to run around and try to find hidden in the levels to try and unlock all those costumes. They're pretty fun. You buy the costumes with the jelly, so you unlock the section of the new costumes with the gold coins, and then you have to buy them with the jelly that you've been collecting in the game. But the costumes are fun. A lot of them reference things from the show, and I'm pretty addicted to trying to collect them all. So I think that's something I'm probably gonna do. And it is a lot of work, a lot of playing the game to collect every single costume. So I think that's something you'll want to do. They're pretty fun. Next up, I do want to mention there is a total of 44 bonus achievements that you can work toward unlocking. Some of them are things like take no damage in boss battles. There's also one that's like try to carry 10,000 jellies on you at one time. karate kick 100 enemies in total. So there's a whole bunch of them here, as you can see. And if you're the type of person who likes these little extra challenges, it is something that will give you some, you know, some replay value in playing the game even after you've completed it. I will say, I do think that some of the bonus content could maybe be a little bit better. A lot of the unlockables, like the only real like cool unlockable I would say is probably the costumes. There are side little mini games you can play on the overworld, like flipping Krabby Patties and that kind of stuff. But I feel like, you know, a lot of the extra stuff just kind of, it sort of boils down to run around and find objects, like a certain amount of objects, and then that'll get you a little something or whatever. I think some of the bonus content could maybe be a little better, a little bit of a more interesting reward, or a little bit of something more interesting to do. But as far as replay value goes, I do think the game has a pretty decent amount of replay value, especially given the fact this is a $40 game. So I think you're getting your money's worth. So that is my video review for SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake. I gotta say, you know, I think this game is enjoyable. It's pretty fun. I've been addicted to it. I find myself picking it up and playing it even after I have beaten the final boss. Like I had mentioned just a little bit ago, there is a decent amount of little things to do, replay value-wise. It has a lot of great animation. It's got a lot of love. If you love SpongeBob, you're going to see a lot of fun little references. I think there's a good variety to the level themes, you know, good stuff there. And yeah, I think the biggest negatives about this game is that the performance on the Switch, not great. And I do think, you know, nothing in the gameplay is too extraordinary. There's a lot of kind of, you know, basic stuff that maybe we've seen before, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. So as a $40 SpongeBob SquarePants adventure game, I do recommend it. Overall, I am giving the game a 7.8 out of 10. If you are playing it on the PlayStation or the Xbox, you could probably give it like a solid 8, maybe a little higher or so. It's a thoroughly enjoyable, cute game that seems like it was made with some love. It's not reinventing the wheel, but whatever. It's still some kind of mindless fun with SpongeBob. It's a 3D adventure game in the year 2023. We don't get a lot of those, so I'm pretty pleased to have one that is made in a quality fashion like this one. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully this review has been helpful, and yeah, thanks a lot. I will talk to you guys later. I'm probably gonna go try to unlock some more costumes in this game, because I want to see what other weird SpongeBob costumes there are. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.